so we're going to continue with some examples to just get a really good understanding of how you change these units. So in this question, they've asked you to find the area. We know that we're going to use the formula A equals L times B. But they want the answer in square metres. So make sure that you underline that so you understand what you're doing, because it might be too late to start fixing things later. So because it's in square metres, remember M is metres, we're going to make sure that our two numbers here are in metres. Well, this one is, so that's fine, you don't need to change that. But this one has to be changed into metres. So remember, we're going to a smaller unit. So we multiply. K for kilo means 1,000. So we're going to do 6 times 1,000. That will give you 6,000. And now these are the two numbers that we're going to be using because they're now both in metres. So we're going to write down our formula. A equals L times B. A equals 6,000 for our length times 2,500 for our breadth, because they are both in metres. So then we get our calculator and just type that in. 6,000 times 2,500, and you get 1, 5, and count up all those zeros. 6 zeros. And write metres squared on your answer. So that's that one finished. The question we changed to make sure they're both in metres. We've got to answer in metres squared. All right, the next one. Again, it's this same instruction. We're finding the area in square metres. So we have to have our numbers in metres. So if we have a look at this question here, this one already is in metres, so that's good. We will be using that number. But this one down here is not. We need to change that to metres. So we're going to a bigger unit. So we divide by, centi is 100, so we're going to divide by 100. So 130 divided by 100 on your calculator will give you 1.3 metres. And they are the two numbers we are now going to use because they're both in metres. So put your formula down, A equals L times B. Then we're going to do A equals 2.7 times 1.3. Then we're going to go to the calculator, type that in, and we get this answer. And the answer is in metres squared because the numbers we put in were in metres. Now number 4 says find the area of this window. So you've seen windows that look like this. They're rectangles. They sometimes have a pattern with maybe some white timber across there, and the whole thing has glass in it. Got a couple of timber white pieces here, but the whole thing is glass. So we're finding the area of this whole window. All right, so we have to make sure that we're getting it in square metres. So we have to make sure our numbers are in metres. That one is not. So we're going to convert that to metres. So we're going to a bigger unit. So we divide. Centi tells us we're dividing by 100. So you do 90 divided by 100 on your calculator, and you will get 0.9. These are the two numbers we're putting into our formula because they're both in metres. So we're going to put in 2 for our length, and we're multiplying by 0.9 for our breadth. And if we work that out on the calculator, we will get 1.8 metres squared. Okay, looking over at this question, so one more we're doing. Now they've described this rectangle to you, but it's a good idea for you to draw it. So we're going to draw the rectangle. We're going to put the length of 8.5 metres on. And we're going to put the breadth of 184 centimetres on. Now this question wants you to find the area in square millimetres. So we have to have both of these in millimetres before we start our area formula. So, going from metres to millimetres, we're going to a smaller unit. So we're going to multiply. Milli is 1,000, so we're going to multiply by 1,000. And if you do that on your calculator, you get that answer. So we will be using that number there because that's in millimetres like we want now. And over here, we're going from centimetres to millimetres, also to a smaller unit, so we're timesing. Now remember, when you have the two prefixes, centi and milli, you don't know which one to look at, that's when you look at your ruler. So 1 centimetre on your ruler is 10 millimetres. So we're going to times by 10. So that number will become 1840 millimetres, and that's the number we're putting in our formula. So we start with our formula, A equals L times B. Our length is 8,500 millimetres. Our breadth is 1,840 millimetres, and that's what we're multiplying. So now we go to our calculator, type this in, 8500 times 1840 equals, and we end up with these numbers. And on the end you write millimetres squared, and the question's finished. So boys, it's really important that you make sure that the answer that you want, the units that you want, are the ones you're using in your formula. Okay, so have a go at the questions for homework. There's not very many, but I want definitely 3 lines of working on every question, and the trickier ones, you might need to do a little bit of this sort of working first. But even the easier questions, I want to see 3 lines of working. Okay, so good luck with your homework.